two things that are certain. You've heard it many times: death and taxes. Right? Between the process, you tend to grow older, and a lot of folks really, and we've seen them, like Kenny Rogers, and we can go down the list of individuals who go, wow, I need to do something to feel young, look young again, and some people do it in a variety of different ways. Dr. Anthony Napoleon is, he specializes in the medical psychology of aging and beauty, and he's also an author. He's got a book called Awakening Beauty, an illustrated look at mankind's love and hatred of beauty. And he joins us now. Dr. Napoleon, welcome to the show.
Nice to be with you.
Well, tell me about your book. Let's start there first. What's it about?
Well, the book is about mankind's, as the title implies, love and hatred of beauty. In the early 60s, there was a lot of research that came out that looked at the impact of beauty, and most of the researchers during that era concluded that it was positive. But what we have learned since then is that beauty, because it is a commodity that virtually everyone admires in one form or another, arouses competitiveness and jealousy. Therefore, a lot of hostility, and in fact, there's a chapter in the book entitled Murderous Rage, which chronicles any number of beautiful people who have been harmed by virtue of the fact that they were simply beautiful.
Oh my goodness! But I can kind of understand that, because beauty changes too. I mean, society looks at beauty at one time. It wasn't the very thin, emancipated look that we're seeing today. And I can understand where a lot of people who are trying to replicate that and they're unable to do that would have that jealousy. There's no question about that.
Yes.
What about men, though? Do men do that as well?
Well, yes, it's a fascinating question. The Cultural Revolution of the 1960s changed everything in America. It changed our biology. It changed our psychology. And it certainly changed our sociology. One of the things that it changed is that men became obsessed with an adolescent persona. We call it cultural narcissism. The notion of being married, committed to one woman, being a veteran, loving one's country was supplanted and thrown to the curb and replaced with adoration of self, obsession with all things self, including visual image. So past the age of 40, men begin to lose testosterone at about 1.6% per year and every year thereafter. If your identity is that of being the proverbial adolescent, footloose, fancy-free, I don't want to commit, I don't want to be protector, I don't want to be a veteran, then that panics that person in America, that male, who can no longer find himself able to mature. But the Cultural Revolution of the 1960s changed not only psychology and sociology, but biology. A fascinating factor is this, and it surprises a lot of people. If you take the level of the male hormone testosterone, by the way, let me say that testosterone impacts libido, your desire for sex, where you deposit fat, how much fat, lean muscle mass, your amount of energy, et cetera, et cetera. Men in 1980 had about 25% more testosterone than men in 2014. Now, consider that. Well, that's a fascinating question. There are biological and psychological reasons, all related to the Cultural Revolution, the people who fomented that revolution of the 60s. One factor is that women have changed their primary role as they relate to men. If I may use a term, feminism. Feminism is a term actually from a scientific point of view that should be named masculinism, because everything about feminism dramatized and idealized masculine traits and, again, kicked to the curb feminine traits. Men respond to attractive, willing, receptive, kind women. That bumps up their testosterone. You can take a photograph of an attractive woman, dressed not vulgarly, but suggestively, and our testosterone will immediately bump up. In fact, the National Institutes of Health did a study where they looked at men who had pathological low levels of testosterone, below 300 nanograms per deciliter, and they took them to a topless bar. And within 2 hours, their testosterone jumped 36%. So as women change...
Well, as a doctor now, as a doctor now, are you prescribing this no, I'm teasing.
Well,
I'm teasing. But no,
that
is a very interesting thing.
It is a very interesting phenomenon, and as women become competitive, they deny man to be protector. They deny man to be someone who admires the protector, the father role, the veteran role. What happens is that men no longer have that sexual stimuli coming from interacting with warm, receptive women. Instead, you're dealing with another man. Men in this society are raised as imperfect women. And the majority of young men today are raised by single mothers who think of their sons as imperfect women, and therefore they feminize them. But getting back to this notion of, so that's one factor of reducing testosterone. And when that happens, by the way, men feel bad. They tend to lie more. They tend to feel insecure, which starts a snowball effect, and it's synergistic. Things like plastic bottles, BPA. Now, some scientists, some very thoughtful people who are rational, believe that this was an orchestrated Fabian-style genocide upon male Americans. You can reduce their testosterone, and when you do that, they no longer want to reproduce, and they no longer want to commit. They no longer want to be married. And bisphenol A, which is in every plastic bottle, hops in beer is estrogenic. Soy products, if you think about a few years ago, the interesting push to consume soy products. Soy is estrogenic. It will reduce your testosterone dramatically. And when you reduce testosterone, men feel insecure. They start to develop gynecomastia or breasts. They start to develop a little bit of pudginess around the midline. And
we're being turned into women, doctor. That's what you're telling me. We're being turned into women.
I am telling you that in one. That's a brilliant observation. I tend to look at this scientifically. I don't immediately go there. In fact, me personally, I would be. I know myself well enough to know that I was resistant to coming to that conclusion. But when I look at all of the data, and I put my scientist's hat on, the feminization of American men since the 1960s is now in full swing. And pharmaceutical manufacturers, recognizing these trends, have begun to advertise, and you can't turn on the television these days without seeing an advertisement for testosterone supplementation. But your observation that the feminization of men essentially has created men who are no longer men. And why would anyone or any revolutionary group desire that? That, to me, is the $64,000 question. And it's one of the questions that I had attempted to answer in another book entitled The Progressive Virus, which is a scientific analysis of these things that we are talking about. And your rather, if you don't mind me saying, brilliant observation, summary observation, that we are being turned into women. And to compensate for that, obviously, mankind has always had the tendency to take a pill or do something like that. Going down south.
Well, Doctor, can I interrupt you for a moment? Do you have time to stick around for another segment, or do you have to? I'm up against a traffic report here, and I want to get people up to speed on what's happening here. Do you have time to stay? Otherwise,
I would love to talk with you. Yes.
Terrific. I might go to a porn site or something in the meantime just to get manly again. I'm not sure. No, but, this is fascinating. I'm teasing about the porn site. Let's go ahead and check traffic on the twos. And with that info, here's John Mann.
All right, Bill. Well, we're still got this accident along 40 westbound at Highway 55 in the median and the shoulder, and that is causing a delay back into the park to Davis Drive. 540 eastbound, your delays have cleared out. We are watching some police activity. This is along outbound Capitol Boulevard at Spring Forest Road. Also still dealing with Kildare Farm Road closed in Cary in the southbound direction at Cary Parkway. All that due to yesterday's water main break. Our next report in less than 10 minutes. I'm John Mann, Talk Radio 850, Traffic on the Twos.
What if your son or your husband,
your brother, came back from the service with a spinal cord injury?
Paralyzed Veterans of America helps our veterans secure their benefits. You can help. Visit PVA.org, a public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Homeowners, did you know a burglar could break into your home and get away in just 5 minutes? A locked door may not be enough to keep a thief out of your home. Think about what you can lose, and then think about this. Now you can get a free security system monitored by ADT, the leader in home security. Pick up your phone now and get free hardware, free medical and fire alert, and free activation. It's an $850 value. Just call Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer. Call 800-610-1480. You'll get 24-hour protection, and there's no cost for parts or activation. So call now about a free security system monitored by ADT. Call 800-610-1480. $99 installation charge. 36-month monitoring agreement at $35.99 a month. Call for terms and conditions to this offer and protect your home license numbers. Protect your home. Your authorized ADT dealer. Call now. 800-610-1480. That's 800-610-1480.
It's August, it's hot, and it's the perfect time to make sure your cool air doesn't slip through the cracks of your home. North Carolina's Touchstone Energy Cooperatives want to help with these energy efficiency tips. Did you know experts say that a home with severe air leaks is the equivalent to leaving a window open? However, by locating cracks and gaps around your home and sealing them, you can drastically improve your energy efficiency. Seal off cracks in your outer walls and drafty windows with caulk, spray foam, or weather stripping. These easy summer improvements can help you save on your monthly energy bill. More energy-saving advice can be found throughout their website at togetherwesave.com. After all, these energy efficiency tips are good for your wallet and the world, and are brought to you by North Carolina's Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, who are always looking out for you. Find out how the little changes add up at togetherwesave.com. That's togetherwesave.com.
Free Speech Radio, 919-860-9783. Bill LeMay on Talk Radio 850. LeMay.
919-860-9783. Well, we are visiting with Dr. Napoleon. He's got a book. It's called Awakening Beauty, an illustrated look at mankind's love and hatred of beauty. He's a medical psychologist, and it's been fun talking to you, Doctor. I'm glad you could stay for another segment. What proof do you have that this is happening, this feminization of men, and I guess the women becoming more masculine, or maybe it's just the feminization of men?
Well, it's all of those things. The data are both biological and psychological. Psychologically, we've been taking censuses in the United States since 1790. And for the first time in 2010, there were more single people than married people. When you look at the media entertainment complex and their content and the studies that look at their content, the idealization of the single lifestyle, and in fact the outright cynical portrayal of married with children, for example. If you haven't noticed, in my upcoming book, which looks at this, I cite at least a dozen examples, and I could cite 200 to you if we had the time, of where men are always portrayed as the bumbling fool, and the woman is always portrayed as the wise person. You see this in advertisements. I cite one thing in my book, one example of a Verizon commercial, believe it or not, where the father figure is actually portrayed as a gerbil. He's not even human anymore. And so we look at the content in the media entertainment complex. We look at how marriages, non-traditional marriages, are idealized. The traditional marriage, the Christian individual who has been typically the backbone of a marriage of American Judeo-Christian ethos, is slammed, made fun of in every way imaginable. So those are the sociological data. Biologically, we've got testosterone issues. Men going to fertility clinics, 89% of them have a biphenyl A in their urine, which is found in foodstuffs that men in the 1980s didn't even have. And there's no really good reason from a scientist's point of view to have put these estrogenic chemicals in the food except to change mating behaviors and obliterate the traditional nuclear family. You know, it's fascinating, Bill, that we know we have certain congresspersons who are obsessed with salt. We had a mayor in New York who was obsessed with large soda drinks. But this phenomenon where your basic testosterone, and by the way, this changes everything about you in profound ways. Nobody seems to care about that. Ms. Pelosi is very concerned about salt and fat, and you can't, if you go to San Francisco, California, there is absolutely no salt shaker on any dining room table. But biphenyl A and estrogenic chemicals are found everywhere. And the thoughtful individual has to ask the question, look, we're smart enough to know this. Scientists understand this. This really isn't rocket science. It's relatively chemistry 101. Why is this occurring? And you're starting to see the sociological impact of it. Women, of course, are complaining. Men will not commit. They can't find a decent man, but they have little or no understanding in the fact that because they adopted masculinism and it was sold to them, they are turning off men. You know, there's $1 billion business, and it's burgeoning, Bill, where American men are going down south to establish liaison with women who live south of the border because those women were not masculinized. So it's absolutely fascinating.
Well, it is, and unfortunately I'm out of time. Looks like a lot of those women are now moving north, so it'll be more convenient for those guys. But that's a whole other issue. Dr. Napoleon, thank you very much. How do folks get your book?
Well, you can get it on Amazon or Borders or any place else. I've got 3 books out, and one of the books addresses some of the issues we've been talking about here.
I've enjoyed the conversation. Truly, I have.
Thank you, Bill.
Doctor. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
You bet. Bye-bye. It's 6:22. Anybody want to go to a strip joint after work? Anybody?